So, Bloodstained Ritual of the Night has been one of my most anticipated games for a long time. I think that a lot of us have been excited for that game for quite a while because this game's Kickstarter campaign goes back 4 years, if you can believe it. It was 2015 when this game first showed up on Kickstarter, trying to be crowdfunded as this great spiritual successor to the Castlevania series, given that we were living in a world where Konami has their heads up their butt and aren't making cool Castlevania games anymore. And I've talked about this before, this Kickstarter goes so far back that initially there was a Wii U stretch goal. I remember when everyone was really excited that there even was a Wii U stretch goal to begin with, and there was like part of the image that showed the funding meter of where the stretch goals were. Some people delved into the code of the image or something, and were even trying to find proof that there was going to be a Wii U stretch goal because people wanted it so much. And then eventually it was confirmed to be there. It was one of the highest stretch goals, and this game hit that. So for a year or two, this game was supposed to be coming out on the Wii U. As crazy as that is, that shows just how long we've been waiting for this game. And here we are. And June 2019, this game has finally released on the PlayStation 4, the Nintendo Switch, the Xbox One, and of course PC. Now, as you guys know, and I bring up all the time in my videos, I'm an old guy. I'm an old fart when it comes to video games, and so I go back to the original Castlevania on the NES. I've been following that franchise for a while. A lot of the more obscure games like Rondo of Blood and Castlevania, I think it's called Dracula X or something, I haven't played a lot of those. I'm not going to pretend to be the most die-hard committed Castlevania fan. But most of the main entries I've played throughout the years. The original 3 on the NES, Castlevania 4, Super Castlevania, I should say, on the Super Nintendo, even some of the 3D games. I actually really enjoy the Lords of Shadow games, for example. I am definitely a fan of what Castlevania is. And as a Metroid super fan and a Castlevania, Metroidvania super fan, I of course appreciate that series for that as well. Oh, of course, not to mention, Symphony of the Night and all of the Game Boy Advance and DS games. I think those are some of the best games ever. I think that Aria of Sorrow probably goes down as my favorite Castlevania game personally, but pretty much I've liked all the games that I've played. And so seeing what Bloodstained was trying to do was massively exciting for me. And now I'm playing this game on the Nintendo Switch, and that's kind of what I wanted to talk about today. The game as a whole, and then of course some of the Switch issues and all of that. Everyone's aware of it. I'm even probably 3 or 4 days late to the party on making this video and discussing my thoughts on this game. But this is just when it worked out for me to do so. I didn't get the game early. I kind of wish that I decided to buy the PlayStation 4 version instead of the Switch version at this point, but, that is what it is. So yeah, I've been playing this game on the Nintendo Switch, and for a game that I've been so excited for, my initial impression of this game so far, and, I'm only a couple of hours in. This is early impressions. I've only probably played maybe 3 hours of the game, so I've made it to several areas. I've gotten plenty of upgrades and stuff, but I know that there is a lot of this game that I have yet to experience. So this is only early on impressions. And my initial thought after playing this game for a couple of hours is, it's pretty good. It's good. I'm enjoying it, and I'm appreciating the overall delivery of what it's trying to do, and in a lot of ways it's succeeding. But there are definitely aspects of this game that I'm also not fully in love with. Some of them have to do with the Switch-specific performance issues, and some of them have to do with what seems to be the overall design of the game. The first thing that jumps to mind that I really want to discuss is just the fact that this game is a much slower paced game than I was expecting, and as far as the action and the abilities, in a weird way, I kind of feel restricted, even though the shard system that this game has, which gives you tons of new random abilities and upgrades every time you kill a new enemy, that is cool. And I am constantly surprised of what the variety is of shards and shard abilities are that I keep gaining as I go through this game. It is cool, and there is an insane amount of weapons, and they all act differently. You got shoes with knives and stuff to do cool kick moves. You get daggers, you get swords, you get claymores, you get axes, you get whips. And who knows what else I haven't even experienced. And so it's a weird thing for me to talk about because on one hand, there is an insane variety of shards and an insane variety of weapons. But on the other hand, the controls of the game and the pace of combat and the pace of moving through this game feels slow and feels restrictive. So it's a very weird kind of middle ground of it gives you a lot of variety, but also feels restricting. And that's something that I'm kind of struggling with. I think I would say that I'm more walking away pleased with it than displeased, but there is an element of disappointment that I'm feeling because you're just kind of slogging through this game and slogging through the combat. Something that I'm also experiencing, and I don't know if this is Switch specific or just across all versions, is definitely a very awkward button delay, and it's driving me crazy. So not only are you moving and jumping and, swinging your weapons very slowly and fighting these, slogging enemies, there's also this delay when you're jumping or attacking, and it definitely makes the controls feel not super smooth. If you guys are familiar, if this is Switch specific or not, you should let me know below. I just know that on my Switch version, I am experiencing it. And it's a huge problem, especially when you're trying to platform, when you're trying to jump around and, you need to make a jump that gives you just enough distance to make. You want to get that very last little edge of the ledge before you jump and make the thing. And if there's a delay, you're going to really struggle making those jumps. And so that's been pretty frustrating for me so far. And of course, like I said, this game is trying to emulate that Castlevania experience. And Castlevania games notoriously don't play very fast. They're not a Bayonetta kind of experience. They are slower. The different characters you played in all these games, they're not running around and hopping around like maniacs, like a Bayonetta character or a Dante character, killing all these enemies. You're pretty slow, and you're using all of your different weapons in slow fashion to defeat everyone in front of you. And so it is definitely achieving that. I think that I was just hoping for a slightly more sped up feel to the game overall. It's a more modern game. It's the newest game to be Castlevania-like that we've seen. And it would have been nice if a little bit more of a modern spin was added to it. I think of the pace of a game like Dead Cells or what Katana Zero looks like it's doing. I haven't played that game yet, but that seems like a fast-paced action game. I would have liked it if maybe some of that speed and pace to the combat was kind of influencing Bloodstained a little bit. Also, something else that I'm not super enjoying, and I know I'm going to be alone on this because I've heard quite a few people say that this is one of their favorite parts to the game, but I'm also not in love with the music, and I think the music is achieving what they want it to feel like that, old Transylvanian, vampiric, gothic organ kind of music. That's definitely what it's doing, and it does feel reminiscent of some older Castlevania games, but I don't know, it's not really setting the mood the way I wanted for some reason. And I know it's going to sound weird because most of you might say, oh, that's exactly the mood that it's supposed to set. And I agree with you, but for some reason, it's just not clicking with me. There's not there's not enough of a groove to it. It's not ambient enough. It's kind of just in between that. And I just was hoping for something different and something better because the Castlevania series is known for such good music. And most people seem to love the music in Bloodstained, so I'm kind of alone on my island here with this opinion. But I'm going to be honest with you guys and just tell you, I'm overall not loving the music. Now, when we look at the Switch version, obviously we need to talk about the performance because that's been a big topic of discussion when it comes to this game. And this was happening, days leading up to the release of the Switch version. I had already paid for my copy on Amazon, and it was already shipping to me, and I was like, well, I don't really want to double dip. I could just say, screw it, I'll just pay another $40 for the PlayStation 4 version. I could afford it. I wouldn't mind it normally, but it just seems so pointless to me. I've already got one version coming to me, and it's still the same game. So, I might as well just commit to the version I've already spent my money on and play the Switch version, because it's what I'd prefer to play, because I definitely have played this game portably and would like to keep doing so. So that's the version I'm playing, and by the time I got it, I was very nervous because of what everyone was saying about the performance. And, it's definitely not the greatest. A lot of what people have said has definitely been true. Visually, that's been something that people have focused on, and there's plenty of videos out there showing graphic comparisons and frame rate comparisons of the Switch and the other versions. My buddy Nate at Direct Feed Games, for example, I've gotten to know him through doing the Spawncast here and there. He put up a really great video as well, breaking down the graphics and showing side-by-side comparisons, and it's pretty obvious. You can definitely see the difference. And now that I've been playing the Switch version, I feel like there's a lot from the presentation and the performance that I'm definitely missing. You can definitely see a lack of quality resolution. A lot of the details and the visuals and the models and the backgrounds and stuff, Nothing looks bad. I think that when you just look at the game, it does look good. There's a great aesthetic and a great tone to the visuals here. The art directions is off the charts. And so the Switch version does achieve that, but you can just tell that it's a little bit muddier, a little bit blurrier, and when you know that the other versions look good, you can already picture in your head how much better it would look on one of the other versions, and it makes you wish that you had that on the Nintendo Switch. This is also a game that I initially felt I wasn't going to miss 60 frames per second when playing, just simply because it's, a slower paced side-scrolling Castlevania action game. And I was like, I don't really think that would make a difference, so if I get a 30 FPS version on the Switch, I think that's going to be fine. However, this game, while my experience so far has been mostly around 30 FPS, maybe a little bit below, I am actually really starting to regret the fact that it's not in 60 frames per second. When I watch footage of the 60 FPS versions, man, it's like, oh my god, man, that looks so buttery smooth. I just wish that I was playing that instead. Not to mention the couple of areas I've played so far where the frame rate does kind of chug a little bit, and it's like, man, this game isn't demanding that much from the Nintendo Switch. The Switch is far more capable than this, and it's really disappointing to be seeing that happen. You also get into the glitches, and I've definitely seen two pretty bad glitches. One of them has been, initially as I've played the game, moving from room to room hasn't been an issue, whether I'm going horizontally or vertically. It's pretty much just like as soon as you go to the next room, it's like, boom, you're there. But as I've gotten a little bit farther into the game, I'm starting to see situations where some rooms are taking like a long time to load. I've mostly seen it when going vertically, but I don't know if that's just coincidence or if that's actually, part of how loading the game becomes more difficult than if you're just going from side to side. I don't really know, but I've started to see that, and something tells me that that's only on the Switch version. And then there's also the crashing. I've had the game crash once, and it started with a visual glitch that was insane, where I went to talk to Johannes, who's one of the guys in your main hub area, and he helps you craft things and upgrade your shards and stuff. And I went and talked to him, and as soon as it pulled up the menu, he came up like he was going to talk to me, but the whole background was just a fuzzy, disastrous, video game glitch image. It was horrible. I was like, holy crap, what's happening? He looked fine, laid on top of just utter chaos behind him. And I was like, what is happening here? And after about 30 seconds, all of a sudden, just the whole game crashed and shut down. And so I was like, well, that's great. Now this game's crashed and I have to restart. And I had to do a couple things over. That was pretty frustrating. My theory there is that maybe on the Switch, until they give the patches they're going to give, maybe it's best to when you're done playing the game, instead of putting it into sleep while the game is running, maybe to just, go to the home menu and use the X button to just close out from the game completely. Close the game app altogether and then put your system to sleep. And next time you're going to play, just boot the game up from the start menu. That's what I've been doing since that happened. And I don't know if that causes the problem, but I haven't seen it happen since. So that's my suggestion to anyone who's playing this game. If you're worried about seeing those glitches on the Switch, that's what I would do. It's annoying. We shouldn't have to do it, but right now, that's just the state of this game on the Nintendo Switch. Don't put it to sleep while you've got the game app open. Close it down and then relaunch it next time you want to play. And so, are there any good things I can say about this game? And yeah, there's a couple of broad good things I can say, to kind of close this video out. I mean, at the end of the day, even though most of this video has been me talking about my complaints, because for some reason it's easier for us as a human race to just talk about complaints better than things that we like, I still am overall liking the game. I promise you guys. I really am enjoying it more than I'm not liking it. It's still got that Castlevania feel. It's still a cool gothic vampire aesthetic. I think that Miriam, the main character, is really neat, and some of the NPCs I've talked to seem to be pretty interesting. And there is a lot of microsystems in this game, way more than I was expecting, and I enjoy that. There's a lot of, you can craft meals, you can craft weapons, you have 1,000 shards to get, 1,000 weapons, different equipment to wear that changes and boosts your stats here and there. There's a lot to do, and there's even side quests. I've even talked to NPCs that give me side quests. And I like that stuff. And the combat, while slow and restrictive, is still fun enough to keep me invested in wanting to play. Obviously, this game overall, so far, hasn't been delivering on this big, crazy, awesome Castlevania action game I've been wanting, but it's not a complete train wreck. I am liking it. I like the tone and the art direction, and I still like going side to side, beating up enemies with different weapons. I mean, I'm just a child of the 80s and 90s era of gaming when that was all we would do, and so you know, the nostalgia part of me still loves to do that, and this game is achieving it. So I'm not going to tell you that this game sucks. I would tell you to maybe, if you want the Switch version, wait till the patches come out that 505 Games has promised us. Or, if you have one of the other consoles, just get it on the PlayStation or Xbox or on your PC, because you're going to get a better experience. It's not a bad game, especially for the $40 that it's selling for. On Amazon, I actually only paid $32. That was really cool, but we know $30 to $40, it's worth that price. I will admit to you guys, it's a fun game at that price for sure. So, I don't know, that's what's going on. Those are my early impressions and thoughts of Bloodstained and my thoughts of the Switch version and some of the performance issues. It's a good game, marred by a lot of problems that hopefully will be rectified when they release patches. So, that's what's going on. Tell me what you guys think. Are you playing the game? Do you enjoy the game? Do you hate the game? Are you waiting for the game? Are you not interested in the game? Whatever you think, talk about it. And this video's a wrap. Thanks, of course, as always, for tuning in, guys. This is Rob Overwood's Review, and I'll catch you next time on another video.